Hi, my name is Courtney O'Connor. I am adjunct faculty here at Emerson College, and I am a freelance theater director.
Hi, I'm Alicia Ford. I work at Arnold Worldwide as an art director.
My name is Wade Devers, and I'm an executive creative director at Arnold Worldwide in Boston.
My name is Sheesh, and my title is a multimedia composer.
I'm Noelle Savers. I'm a marketing communications major, and I'm also the captain of the Emerson Lions Theater Club.
My name is Gabriella Kula, and I'm a journalism major.
Probably Instagram. I use the most, and then Facebook, and then Twitter.
You know, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram. Probably mostly Instagram, because I like to take pictures of food.
Facebook, Instagram. Well, I like my Gmail.
I use Facebook and Twitter every day. I've been doing a lot of tweeting lately with Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
On Instagram, probably 2-3 hours maybe. Facebook, probably not, like maybe half an hour. On technology in general, like 20 hours a day, because no, probably like 14 hours a day.
Kind of run, all weekend, here and there all weekend.
Literally, like 90% of the day, something's hooked.
Maybe 1.5 hours a day for social media.
I try to keep everything for work pretty much. Like, my Facebook is for my personal life, but as far as advertising is concerned, it's like very important that it's who you really are, and I don't have to worry about being too professional, because they don't care about that in advertising. They want to know who you are. So I'm pretty open about letting people see my Facebook and stuff like that.
I kind of represent myself as a brand, and I also represent the company and the brand that I work for. So I think it's pretty important also, but like if I think of what kind of brand I am, I would prefer it to be more genuine and truthful, so that's probably why I only talk about things if I really feel there's something to say.
So basically, I tend not to have pictures of me drunk or, pictures of me doing stuff that shouldn't be online. Because I also know that my nephews and nieces are following me on Facebook, and my mom and dad are on Facebook, and like whenever there's like a funny picture of me or a funny video of me, I get a phone call from my mom. It's like, oh, what was that thing that you were on there? So I'm trying to keep it kind of like, within the okay, everybody can see that, because you really have to take under considerations that everybody can see that. Even if you think that your, Facebook is private or whatnot, it is not.
Still professional, and still, because when you look for jobs, or even like when you apply to colleges, there are background checks and they can find you online, which is a little scary, but as long as you're keeping professional, I think that's okay. That's what I try to do with my just have fun, and I have fun with my stuff. It's just important to remember, if you want to.
I think that I am simply careful with what I am willing to put out there. Right? So I'm not going to put out anything that I'm not willing to say to someone's face.
Very important how people perceive me, because I'm going to be a senior next semester. I'm going to enter the professional world soon, so the way I'm perceived online will affect me very soon with employers and things like that. Being the captain, I know that the way I talk on the Facebook should be probably more professional than it is, but at the same time I am a peer. So it really depends who your audience is.
I think it's important, but I mean, just because I'm used to knowing things that are online, and if you don't know something, you feel very out of the loop, or it's like, oh, I'm not on top of my shit.
Like when I feel the need to say something, I'll say something, but I don't make a conscious effort to be like on social media all the time. I think a lot of people in our industry do that, and I think it just comes off as kind of disingenuous. You know what I mean? It's like they're trying way too hard to brand themselves. It's a little bit less for me about communicating with people and more about getting information about things that I'm just personally interested in.
But it's those connections that you don't want to lose that in the past you would have. That I think that's when social media can be so incredibly useful.
In that generation, I feel like everyone's very open about just about anything that's going on. Mainly it's because you share it all, you try to get likes for it and retweets and
and I think it's a good thing. I don't really believe in pushing back or people saying too far. Technology, I think, can only get better personally.
Say, like speed, the fact that you can put something out there and people are going to see it immediately. I mean, everything is more out in the open, definitely, but I think that it allowed people to be more accepted for who they are and allowed people to be able to be more different because everything is out there. So everyone's differences are very magnified. So there's not as much like trying to fit into a mold now as there used to be, I think.
I actually feel like there's a lot less peer pressure to do things, to fit in certain ways, because you have a lot more ways to fit in.
Right.
And it's very granular, you know what I mean? Like, you can be interested in a certain type of art or a certain type of music with a very small group of people, and you sort of get the feeling that you're fitting in. You know what I mean? Without having the pressure of fitting in with a giant group of people who you have no connection with, or no affiliation with, or no common mindset with, you know?
Yes. I mean, oh my god, like, keep in touch with people, this is the best tool ever. Like, I'm originally from Israel, so for me to keep in touch and see what my friends do is literally the only way to do it is online.
I don't know how we did theater without technology. Like, being able to email a team immediately as soon as I get home, or to be in sort of this constant sense of contact with my team is so important.
Constant way to communicate. Some people may see this negatively, but in the long run, it's very helpful. Again, that if you're educated, without it, it would be lost.
People can say whatever they want, and you can't really control it.
I think that's the biggest downfall of our society nowadays, that people are just able to be as brave as they want on the computers, but then you talk to them and nothing of that personality that they created online is out there in the real world. And
The downfall I have is that when people communicate online, there's some sort of like personal like barrier that's kind of like broken down, or people sometimes who would not normally say something face to face feel like they can because they're behind the screen.
The narcissism that social media can, I don't want to say enhance, but that it can really allow for and encourage.
I think most of people's communication is on social media now. Like, people will Facebook message people instead of calling them, or they'll Instagram instead of emailing, maybe. You know, it's like or Twitter, and it's also used a lot in TV now. Like, you can tweet at a show.
You know, we connect, we catch up, we say what we've been doing, and then, it's more of a matter of interest. Funny about that is they come in and out of your lives, like, because of social media. I think a lot of people go through this. Like, you'll reconnect with someone, and then you won't talk to them again. When you get down to social media, it's really all about engagement and how do you get the most back and forth with your consumer, you know?
I remember back in the day when we used to talk to people. Now it's all like thumbs. That's how we communicate with people. People forget how to talk, and I feel like a lot of people get anxiety attacks when like they're on their phone, or like they need to communicate face to face with people. They're like, I don't really know how to do that. Like, I can't go back. I can't edit the stuff.
We allow ourselves to develop these online relationships that we're not willing to carry over into the real world. This false sense of connection that we have, I'm not actually going to call that person if I have a problem. And I think that we need to, in their own way, there's nothing wrong with that. We simply need to know the differences.
That there is a barrier between virtual life and like in-person life, because it's easy to think about something to say to someone online as opposed to when you're actually in person having to say it. And because we've been so reliant on that little gap or spell check and talking to your friends before sending something, it makes some in-person interactions a little bit uncomfortable.
I just disagree with people who say that this generation's always on their phone or never communicated. There's like a really old photo from like I think, where it's like everyone is just like with a newspaper. And there's always been this like barrier where people like prefer to use it themselves. And just because we have phones now to do it doesn't mean that we're less personable. I still think people are great at communicating with one another. It's just hard when you add on to communicating with one another like relationship outside of face to face.
I'd say the coolest thing that we've done involving social media would be the Twitter bomb for Gentleman Jack. And that was an interactive installation that pulled in people's tweets about the event when they would tweet at a hashtag, and it would display it on the walls of a 3D train yard as graffiti.
We just finished, well, it's up now, it's not finished. It's called The Thought That Counts. It's a sort of a Tumblr of, it's for Jack Daniels, and it's a Tumblr of all of the things that people have gotten for Christmas that aren't great.
Blog, it's called Big Old Big One, go check it out. Basically, it's, you know, it's a music video blog that features musicians in different situations. Yeah, make sure you're an awesome person every day. Just wherever you are, however you do that, just keep pushing the boundaries of yourself. It's just like,
I feel like, you know, social media is still in its infancy, and I feel like we've just gone through the terrible twos, where everything is about me, and figuring out how to do things ourselves and use it. And I'm excited to see how we can use it going forward when it starts opening up and becoming less about me, and more about how can we use this to open things up to others and to make things better for everybody.
Big comments, advice, stay in school.